Here's what I want to talk
What
about.
do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about publicly known litigation and a tactic that raises my hackles and raises my suspicions about people.
Hackles? What does a hackles mean?
Hackle. Well, you got to look this up.
Okay, let me see what
So this is from my old English lit days.
Okay.
So you have typically a very powerful celebrity or well-known male, almost always a male, and then you have on the opposite side, you have normally a very young or some other female that has accused them of rape or assault or something. And then what happens is the PR machines take over.
Yes.
Okay, I get that, right? The PR machine is going to take
Yeah.
over. However, then a second thing happens.
What's the second thing?
The person that's being sued
Yeah.
now sues the person suing them.
Ah, yeah.
They weaponize their defense.
It's called an anti-SLAPP suit.
And some states have anti-SLAPP and some don't.
Yes.
And do you know what that means?
Yeah, it's basically meant to gag the lawsuit, gag the person from coming forward with their accusations.
Yeah. And it's become very prevalent.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm thinking, because we're the court of public opinion, I'm thinking, well, I can't believe that guy would have done that, right? You might be thinking, I can't believe that guy would have done that. But as soon as they file that lawsuit against the person suing them,
Yeah.
number one, I don't like it. And number two, I start having my doubts of whether they did something or not.
Wait. Okay, let me unpack that. Whether they did something or not. Are you talking about the accuser
No.
or the accused?
The accused.
So you start to think,
The accused becomes the pursuer. The accused turns the tables and becomes the aggressor. And here's the other thing. Normally the person that's suing the accused
yeah,
has very limited means. And normally the accused, I'm talking about this particular type of lawsuit,
yeah,
has extraordinary means.
yes,
They're many times over 100 millionaire or they're billionaires.
yes,
And they're suing this little person that dared to say that they did something bad to them. And they call it a shakedown. They claim that they're trying to bribe them. Now, sometimes they are. There's a difference between trying to settle with someone pre-suit and then trying to buy someone by threatening to go public if they don't pay me for something that didn't happen.
Well, that's called extortion.
Extortion, but in these lawsuits, the word extortion is almost always used.
Yes.
And this is what I want to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay, so
Can I interrupt for a
Yeah.
moment?
Yes.
Don't you feel though that tactic has been used so much? Like you said that it kind of makes you question whether or not something's happened, but I feel like in my experience it's almost always done by like you said, the more well off, whether it's a corporation or an individual, that they have the means to do it, and they use that as a tactic no matter what.
it didn't used to be this much. I'm starting to see this rash. It's almost always these sexual assault cases where you start to see it. It's like, okay, let's imagine this. Imagine that you were abused in the Catholic Church for years. And then some time passed and you went and sued the Catholic Church. And then the Catholic Church sued you
Yeah.
for daring to bring the charge. Okay, that doesn't happen, right? Most of the cases we bring, we allege somebody did something and the insurance company is defending it and they don't sue back. What's happening are these individuals who are worried because their personhood, that's what their income is dependent upon. So they're going to lose advertisers. They're not going to have movie opportunities. They're going to, be shunned in the music. Whatever it is, right now Diddy is on trial. I don't know if he's been suing his accusers.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He's got his hands full, but other people have, and I don't want to name names or anything like that, although we could. And even in this whole thing with Blake Lively and Justin Balazzoni. That's different than this because they're more. She's got way more
They
money and
both
power
have
than he
power,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, but he still does. And so that one is really that's kind of an anomaly. Those are two people that have the means to go at each other. One are arguably more successful than the other, but they're more on par.
And that was similar to the Johnny Depp case as well.
Johnny Depp case, more similar, but not really.
Not exactly.
Amber Heard was, again, pretty unequal. But then you look at like Jay-Z. I mean, that's one of the more recent ones. I know we talked about Shannon Sharp. These extremely powerful people who, if you dare to say they did something wrong to you, they are going to come after you. And maybe it's going to be so scary you're going to say, I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to drop this lawsuit. And now they're going to defame you and say it never happened. And they're going to come after you and ruin you in the court of public opinion and everything else. I mean, so there is no reason to do that lawsuit other than to destroy someone, the big powerful person going against a little person. Because normally when you bring a lawsuit civilly, right, you're trying to get some kind of justice, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And for us, we're always going backwards. It's the little guy going against the powerful because they did something wrong and they hurt us, the little guy, and we want some kind of accountability for that. This is a different use of the legal process. It's not being used for justice itself. It's being used for the court of public opinion because you're never going to get a dime out of the person you're suing. I mean, right? That's not the purpose. It's a punk move. Whenever I see it, that's what I call it. I said, this is a punk move. I don't like it. It's becoming very common.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to talk about. Like, defend that.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like, first of all, the people who are being sued are not going, oh, yeah, now I'm going to sue. What is happening is that they're hiring lawyers, and the lawyers are saying, all right, what's the story right now? And I need to seize and control this story and turn the story and start rewriting the story. So this is a mechanism of like lawyer technique. And really what I would call savvy lawyers use this as a technique to seize back the narrative and put the other side on the defensive. And when you're in the defensive, my experience has been you don't make good decisions. You're just not thinking through the case in a way in which you want to be in control of the case. And so, yeah, it is a punk move, but it is a strategic move because they want to put the person who's saying, look at me, I'm the protagonist. No, you're not. You're actually a little bit more complicated. You're maybe protag, antag, and that's the idea.
So you think that it's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that it's a strategy. I
but
don't fundamentally agree with it because in particular, when you're talking about someone who is vulnerable, who has taken the leap of courage to come up and say, hey, I've been abused or I've been marginalized, and then you come out and do that. Now, I almost invite that kind of technique. If I'm representing the marginalized person, I invite it because I will weaponize what they did and beat them over the head with it. I think that moves like that will reveal themselves. I think where they are effective, Karen, is when you don't have a good case. Because if it's really effective, you never had a good case to begin with. The accusation, there were problems with it. And you didn't properly vet and prepare the accusation to be revealed in a court of law in the first instance. Because some of this stuff works. And it's because the accusation was not solid. So it's not about, like, sometimes, it reveals the truth of the accusation. So it's not, I don't know. I mean, if you were accused of something, wouldn't you want to come out and say, wait a minute, that's not true?
Just prove it in your case. Why do you have to come out and separately sue someone?
Well, what if you know in your heart that it's not true?
Then you say it's not true.
Well,
and prove it.
But then you were like paying money for a lawyer to have to defend an accusation that's not accurate? I don't agree. Well, then, so what are you supposed to do? Just sit back and just go through the process?
I think you sit back and you fight the process and prove yourself. Okay, let's say this. You represent someone, right? And as a federal public defender.
Okay.
And the government says you did this, and you're like, yeah, this is false. You don't get to go sue them. You have to wait till the case is over, prove you're innocent, and then go sue them.
Yeah, because that's
for abuse of process.
Yeah, but that process is totally different. But within the process, I have gone back and accused them of wrongdoing within the process.
Within the process.
Yes. Okay, so then...
And I don't even like process.
Wait, what do you no. But I guess...
This is just one of these things that drives me crazy.
Okay, well, what drives you crazy about it?
I think it's abusive for someone to come out with that much power and use the justice system to annihilate someone that, you know what, everyone has the right to do everything. There's bad lawyers, there's good lawyers. Everybody has a right to file a lawsuit.
Yeah. I just think that when somebody does that and you have a strong case, it's just telling that they're weak. And you take it, come on, they're going to do it. I don't agree with it, but they're going to do it anyways.
No, I don't go with that. You can't say that you don't agree with it, but it's okay. That's not a good answer.
Well,
I object.
You object. Okay. All right. I think I'm thinking about it as a lawyer, and let me think about it as a non-lawyer.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm putting you in an impossible situation with something that was just bugging me on the way here.
Yeah.
Because I saw it in the paper, and it's like it just keeps happening. I think it's repulsive. I don't like it, and I'm telling it to you, and you're defending it, which I want you to do because I think it's indefensible.
I mean, I don't know about indefensible, Mike. I mean, if you're attacked and you know that the attack on you lacks total credibility, and your lawyer says...
You bring a CR-11 sanction violation, you take it to the court and have the court say this is a meritless lawsuit and have it thrown out.
Wouldn't you want your reputation defended on the offensive, Mike, rather than from the defensive position? By having somebody file a suit and say, you know...
I would have to say yes if I knew that I was wrong, but I also feel that, I mean, you know, I can look at our own president as an example of someone who uses that tactic every single time he's has a case brought up against him. And I won't say that I know that he's done some of the stuff that he's accused of, but I think that it's telling when that tactic is used every time automatically. And I just think that I don't want to use the term that he has started using, but when our justice system is weaponized in the way that it seems to be getting weaponized more and more these days against the marginalized individuals, it's another way that attorneys get a bad name.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the people that use that don't care that they have a bad name. They don't mind. They don't have any problem with being perceived as bad people because they think they're doing what they need to do for their clients.
Yeah.
Which is part of what you guys promise to do when you become lawyers.
That's right. That's right.
But I also feel that always going to that automatically makes the rest of the public go, lawyers suck.
And I would never want to bring a lawsuit against someone that's more powerful than me.
No, that's the thing. Well, I mean, before I worked here, I always thought there's no reason in any situation to get a lawyer because I can't afford to get one that would be good enough to make sure that I won. So, and that's the same with most people that I know. They get in any situation that they get into which may involve the need for an attorney, they often don't think that they're good enough for it.
I like the way Mike just talked about that because like the technique that you're talking about, and if the public sees it as like, wait a minute, if I ever think about bringing a lawsuit, that could happen to me.
Right.
Right. And then they go, I don't want to talk to a lawyer. I don't want to deal with that. That's embarrassing and humiliating and stressful. That I agree with you. In that sense, it is anti-access to justice. It creates a disincentive to want to access the system. I think I agree with that. I think I'm persuaded that in that light.
There was a great attorney, Bruce Johnson here, who championed anti-SLAPP forced sex abuse cases in Washington State. I can't remember if it passed or not, but with that exception, because it is heavily used in sex abuse cases.
Yeah.
And there are so many mechanisms already in place. There's something called mandatory counterclaims and mandatory cross claims,
Yeah.
which means you don't even why do you need to file a separate lawsuit? A mandatory cross claim or a mandatory counterclaim means I sue you for X, and then you sue me. You say, well, you did this to me. It goes, you did this to me. I'm suing you. I'm suing you, Mo. You did this to me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You come back and you sue me in the same case. But these guys are filing totally separate actions.
And I wonder, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's happening, or you saw something in the newspaper that you saw this happen today?
It's just a constant litany. It's all the time. I'm just seeing that it's becoming more and more common, and it's probably been becoming more and more common in the past 5 years, and now it's every time.
Okay, let's say you and I represent somebody, and this is a marginalized person, and we bring a lawsuit against Big Goliath. Big Goliath.
Oh, let's stay away from that topic.
Like the big guy.
We can't talk about this.
What?
Are you talking about a sex abuse case?
Yeah, sex
Okay.
abuse. It's a hypothetical sex abuse.
Okay.
Like big
Yeah.
person. And then the big person goes to another court and files another lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do? Do we just sit there and go, no? What do we do? What do we do strategically?
Well, but the problem is for the little person is most plaintiff firms are small.
Okay.
There's only so many resources.
So we have us, and we represent the little person. What do we go tell this little person? Give up?
No.
Okay, what do we say?
We'll go over there too.
We'll go over there too. Okay.
Yeah, but how many people can do that?
Not many.
Not
no.
many.
And the resources are huge. So here, number one, you almost only see this in sex abuse cases. That's where you see it. Because in sex abuse cases, people are more vulnerable because unless you were recording it with the video, it's between two people or a few people. There's not a lot of witnesses normally in a sex abuse case, as you know.
Yes.
There's a perpetrator, alleged perpetrator, and the person that's being victimized. That's it. So there's how do you prove that? I mean, we have that right now, right? We have a lot of issues in cases that are old and involve sex abuse. It's hard to prove it. So,
Well,
yes.
and then add up too, if there was anyone else present during the situation that's on the side of the accused, the accuser automatically has people that are backing up the person that she's accusing or he's accusing.
The defense will do several things. One, they'll attack that person and say they're mentally unfit, they're mentally unsound, they're making this up. I mean, it's like a playbook. It's the same defense. So what I'm saying, though, is that's where we're seeing right now, sex abuse cases, but it's also a slippery slope.
Okay. All right.
What happens if we were to sue John Doe for killing our client for running over them on a sidewalk, and then that company turned around and sued us for suing them?
Yeah. Well, talking about sex abuse, I think it's the nature of sex abuse and what it requires somebody to go through to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I think that suits are used in those cases and because they want to make the accusing person go. The nature about sex abuse is that because you don't disclose it immediately. And the reason why you don't disclose it immediately has nothing to do about whether or not it happened to you. It's that you feel utterly alone in a secret that you're keeping because you have to keep this secret. And you think that you can't disclose this secret. And then something happens in your life and you feel that you can share it with somebody. Or you go through a process and then you realize, oh, I can do something about this. What happened to me was not right. And you have to sum up all of this courage to come and speak about it openly, publicly, in documents in the courtroom. Now, what the defense is doing there is they're going, I know you came originally from a place where this was a secret, and I want you to go back to that place.
Correct.
Right? And here you go. And here's this suit. Go back to that place. Go back to that place. And I think that is the disgusting part of this technique. That's what the lawyer is doing, is to force you back into that dark place to that space that you're utterly alone. Here are the consequences for coming out and speaking about this. And you want to speak more? It's going to cost you even more.
And look at it's not just the power in terms of money dynamics. There's often a huge age difference.
Yeah.
I mean, so the person that's being victimized does not have a lot of life experience and is, and plus with sex abuse cases, there's shame,
Yes.
So there's a lot of complexities in there.
But also when if you're experiencing sex abuse as a minor, you don't remember details like you would as an adult. Things you remember are different, even though it's true that it happened. And so when somebody comes out and says, well, no, you're a liar and you've defamed me, and then you start to question your own reality and you start to lose your mind and you start to think that wait a minute, was it exactly like that? That's the intention, is to start to question, plant the seed in your brain that these are all illusions. This didn't really happen to you. And then what that does is that as the abused person, you're going to your lawyer going, maybe this wasn't a good idea. I don't know if I want to do this. Are you sure it's a good idea? And you start to doubt yourself. And so I think that, that is a punk move. The more I think about it, it angers me. I mean, I changed it. I mean, I just didn't think about it through that lens, through that process. I just had to sort of...
It's bully behavior. It's a punk move, and it's become normal.
Well, don't you also think, in a way, it's taking the power that the accused wielded over the person and using it against them again?
Let's say that the person that sued them isn't 100% right. But there's some truth in there, but not 100% right. And let's say that person, of course, is like 20 years older than and about 15 million times poorer than the person they're suing. Let's just go down that road. So, and let's say that drugs were involved.
That's where I was going to go too.
Or alcohol was involved, or anything else that comes into some of these behaviors. So,
which is going to affect their memory, or possibly create memories that they didn't actually have.
For both sides.
Yeah, for both sides.
Yeah,
for sure.
For both sides, and then they say, they approach the guy and say, I remember this and this wasn't right, and maybe they're in counseling or something, and they were told to confront their accuser. I mean, who knows? We don't know, right? We don't know what goes on. And the person that they confront just blows them off. That's when you typically see a lawsuit. A lawsuit typically doesn't just come out of the blue.
No.
It typically comes when someone and this is true for like a car accident case, for example. If the person that hits you is going to visit you in the hospital and take care, what can I do to help you, and do everything that they can from day one, you feel very differently about them than if they don't even send you a get well card after a month, in a hospital when you no longer can use your legs, and they decline to pay any of your medical bills ever until there's a judge that orders them to do so at the end of a case after a jury's entered their verdict. I mean, that's what it looks like. So if people acknowledge you and help you, and you don't, and see you and care for you, you don't really, why would you need a lawyer? Why would a person need a lawyer if someone's going to say, I'm sorry that I caused you this terrible stuff. I'm going to do right by you. Let's work it out. Okay, you don't need a lawyer. You need a lawyer. Well, you see the lawyers coming in is because you need help. You can't get any help whatsoever. The person has iced you. They won't talk to you because insurance companies say don't talk to them.
That's what I was going to say. The insurance companies
It's almost always the insurance companies.
Yeah.
They stop everything from happening, and you have no other options. You're gonna take a lawsuit, and you're gonna stay in that lawsuit if, instead of paying your claim quickly, they start to do surveillance on you. Even when you're coming out of a hospital,
into your social media and your past.
They demand to see everything. They talk to all your old girlfriends and try to get.
They ask you crazy questions about your sex life.
Oh my God! And that's when you're going to file a lawsuit or really, stick to a lawsuit because you're so. What else are you going to do? You're so punked.
Yeah.
So here we have it. Like this whole thing, it has become very normalized. I just keep seeing it happen time and time again. And then what's really sad is when the smaller persons just their lawyer gives up, because now what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to prosecute a lawsuit and defend a lawsuit against them, and they didn't set out to do that. So maybe I don't feel so sorry for their lawyer, but their lawyer, and maybe their lawyer could have gotten more help or something. And you know what? There are times when people bring false allegations.
Yeah, that's
clearly.
Then there's always that. I don't think that it happens nearly as much as the accused wants you to think, but it has happened.
It has happened.
Yeah, it has happened. I mean, it's. I think that I would be interested to see the cases that are being used on, and it's primarily the sexual abuse cases. I think that's the problem one.
Almost entirely.
Entirely those. Like if it's a
Of
corporation suing
high-profile
another
people.
corporation,
Yeah.
I could care less. But it's like, you did another suit against the corporation. But I think that the dynamic of sexual abuse, it's where it's most prevalent, and it has to do with the power of the abuser over the abused.
Yeah.
It is leveraging that dynamic and saying, like, I still have power over you. Don't forget that. And it's the lawyer knows that. And if a lawyer ever did that in one of my cases, I call him up and I tell him, you're a punk. Because you just taught me that word. Yes.
That's my thought for today.
That's a good thought. That's a good thought. Yeah. Feel lucky, punk?
Yeah. That's a short one.